подбегнуть левым глазом, если вы знаете, что инопланетяне существуют, но это засекречено. Вот так и
Очень
пишут.
бы хотелось услышать.
Подбегните, если знаете.
Кристина, да? Значит, я вам скажу, но это должно остаться исключительно между нами. Это секретная информация. Это наше секретное оружие, но мы будем применять его только в самом крайнем случае.
I want you to step, bump, bump, step, bump, bump. 5, 6, 7, 8. Step, bump, bump, step, bump, bump. Pas de beret, kickball change, step, clap.
Okay.
5, 6, 7, 8.
You know what would be good is if you hit kicked and then you kind of did that and then a barrel turn and then ha, you know.
That was good.
That would be.
That was really good. You a dancer?
No, not. I'm just drunk.
Up against the vehicle right now, sir. You're going to jail.
What would happen if we detonated humanity's most powerful nuclear bomb at the deepest point of the ocean? Would tsunamis erase coastlines? Would earthquakes tear continents apart? Could Earth itself be thrown off balance? Well, almost. The deepest place on our planet is the Mariana Trench, a massive underwater valley between tectonic plates 11 kilometers down. That's where we drop Tsar Bomba, the most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated. 50 megatons. A blast so strong, its shockwave once circled Earth 3 times. Water instantly vaporizes, forming a gigantic radioactive bubble. But then something unexpected happens. The ocean fights back. The pressure down there is enormous. Instead of expanding endlessly, the fireball collapses over and over until it breaks apart into smaller bubbles drifting upward. By the time the energy reaches the surface, almost nothing. No mega tsunamis, no continents shattered, no nuclear winter, just warm, radioactive water, quickly diluted by the ocean. Even earthquakes and volcanoes barely notice. Because here's the truth. The strongest weapon humans ever built is insignificant compared to the forces of nature. The planet is simply too big, and it doesn't care.
Look at a map of 19th century rail stations and layer it over a map of old waterways. Suddenly, patterns appear. Stations beside rivers, stations beside artificial canals, stations aligned on geometric grids that ignore terrain but match harmonic spacing. Nodes, always nodes. Not random placement, not national planning, a network. And the architecture follows the same logic. Iron vaults shaped like resonant chambers, stone facades aligned to cardinal axes, pressure systems built into the substructure. This wasn't just transportation, it was coordination. Stations didn't merely serve cities, they linked them, like points on a global circuit. When the modern world inherited these buildings, it reused them as train stations because what else could we do? We had the shell, but not the instructions. The deeper you look, the more you feel it. We didn't build the first version of the rail network. We built the replacement. History rarely erases something without offering a substitute. And when water power disappeared, steam stepped in as the official explanation for everything. Simple, controllable, taxable. Steam required coal. Coal required companies. Companies required centralized power. A perfect system for the new industrial world. But steam was never efficient enough to justify the massive iron vaults, or the pristine glass roofs, or the cavernous hydraulic chambers. Steam was loud, steam was dirty, steam left scars on everything it touched. Yet the very buildings supposedly built for steam show none of those scars. It's almost poetic. A clean technology gets forgotten, a dirty one gets glorified, and people stop asking questions. Because the replacement story doesn't need to be true, it just needs to be repeated. All of this leads us to a gentle place, not of certainty, but of permission. Permission to ask what nobody thought to ask before. What if the stations weren't built for trains? What if trains were adapted to fit stations? What if the real technology was the building itself? The water beneath it, the resonance above it, the geometry holding everything in place? What if the Industrial Revolution wasn't the beginning of progress, but the end of memory? And what if the 19th century didn't create a global rail network? It simply inherited one from a civilization that understood energy, water, and architecture in ways we no longer do. I don't know the answer. I don't pretend to. But I do know this. Once you see the pattern, once you notice the details, once you recognize the silence surrounding these stations, you can't unsee any of it. And maybe, just maybe, the first step toward remembering is allowing ourselves to admit that part of the story is still missing.